My understanding keeps changing when I travel. My plans keeps changing when I travel because the things I see really inspired me and really changed me a lot. My name is Shi Lun. I'm an architect in China, and I just quit my job. I started my traveling around the world. If people don't travel, we will have the misunderstanding on everywhere. But when you are there, when you are experiencing there, you get some different understandings and you have different views. Actually, your personal view is the closest one to reality. Doing the sketches is actually one of your professional ability for architects. And also, drawing is my hobby. You know, that began from my very young childhood. I was not a person into history before, but when I was very interested in my ancestors' story, I was becoming a history fan. I found out my ancestors was originally from Central Asia. They are groups called like Sogdian, which lived in Central Asia like more than 1,000 years ago. And I tested my DNA. In some institutes, they just told me that your DNA type could be like from there because your family name is Shi. That is originally from there. This is a group that making the business on the Silk Road like more than 1,000 years ago, which connects the East and the West. So, if I am the descendants of those ancestors, I could find out more, and I will try to go something more than that, like to communicate the culture and the history between East and the West. So I tried to go back along the Silk Road from Beijing, the place I spent most of my time, and I went back to my hometown, Shanxi, and all the way to Xi'an. And from Xi'an, it's usually called the east end of the Silk Road. And from there, I started my journey along the Silk Road. So from Xi'an, I went all the way back to the city which is called Kesh. It's actually called Shahri-Sabzhnao. It's a city in Uzbekistan. It's a very small town, and it's sad that my ancestors is from there.
进入沙赫里萨布兹，也就是史国的所在地。
I really hate the feeling by taking plane to somewhere else. You will forget all about the connections between this land to your homeland. You don't know how it connects by on the ground and the cultural change. You cannot experience the gradual change. So I just try to go overland to find out, those connections, those like differences. I tried to go all the way from Central Asia to Iran, and from Iran to Turkey, from Turkey to Greece, and all the way to find out the Western culture. From Greece, I'll continue to Rome, to Italy, and to find out something more about those, fabulous arts and architectures there. And then went to France, to Paris, to see more things, like connected with, those Silk Road. Is like an extension of the Silk Road. So then after that, I went to London, which is very fabulous city in the world. 400 years ago, those England people, they just took the Mayflower ship to New England here in America. So I just continued by the cruise ship all the way to America, to New York. For architects, it's very important for us to know something more about culture, history, and all those buildings in different places in the world. It's like you can just find out the logic of the design series. I think sketches is a way of watching, a way of observing those, art, those decorations, those structures of the buildings, of the art. So by doing sketches, I could see them more carefully, I could see them more slowly, I could see them more clearly. I would do the sketches at those places I have never been to, I have never seen about those those elements on those buildings which I have never seen. That make me try to find out something more, something new. For example, in Iran there is a site. It has some stone columns. That is the first time I sensed about something in my heart. Like at the early education I was taught, those European architecture are built by stone and those are built by stone columns. But in China, you can never see those stone columns, stone round columns. You can never see them. So that's the first time I sensed something about Europe. But actually, that's not Europe, that's Persian side. And by drawing those columns, I found out those different types of those columns and how they were affected by those ancient Greek and ancient Roman, architecture, art. And that's why I chose, overland traveling. You can see those gradually change. And by doing those sketches, you can see them more clearly. You can find out what exactly are the differences, are the changes, and have better understanding on it. When I was studying in school, when I was working in the Design Research Institute, I had an understanding that Western culture and Eastern culture are two extremes probably. Those are so many things different. But after the traveling, I found out these are something that actually goes along very well, and they get along very well in all the times, and they just has the different appearances. When I was trying to find out my individual relationship with the human's history, then you have more curious about all those things happened before and what happened, along the road from your original place to your new hometown and to your birthplace. It inspired me to discover more about history and to make me try to discover more about myself. That's the part I think which really surprised me.